Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar. If you are watching this, that means you have most likely earned a nomination to enter Broadcom Masters this year, which is a huge honor. We know this past year has posed many challenges, but you should be extremely proud of yourself for putting in the hard work to do a research project and participate in your local science fair. We're glad that you have taken the next step in the Broadcom Masters process by opening your application. I'm Reva Ramadorai, Director of the Broadcom Masters, and I'm here with my colleague, Erin Cummins.
Hi there.
We are responsible for running the Broadcom Masters program, and you'll receive emails from us throughout the application process. Today, we are going to talk about what prizes are available at each stage of the competition, discuss what to expect during finals week, and then take some questions from our viewers. This session is being recorded so that other students who cannot join us today can also hear this information. We are always here to answer your questions. You can email us at masters@societyforscience.org at any time. If you have questions during today's webinar, feel free to type them in the live chat box on the right-hand side of the screen. Erin and I will answer a few questions at the very end. Please do not copy and paste your questions multiple times in the chat box. It may take some time for us to read through them, but we will get to your question. So let's get started.
So what is Broadcom Masters? The Broadcom Math, Applied Science, Technology, and Engineering for Rising Stars, or Masters, is the premier national science fair-based competition for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students. In order to qualify for Broadcom Masters, a student must place within the top 10% in a society-affiliated science fair. If you're watching this video, you're most likely a nominee, which is a huge accomplishment. If you haven't opened an application already, hopefully you will after this webinar. Ultimately, 30 Broadcom Masters finalists have the opportunity to spend a week in the fall in Washington, D.C., showcasing their research projects and competing as teams in hands-on STEM activities. While we hope to be in D.C. for finals week, the Society and Broadcom Foundation will reevaluate holding an in-person event depending on the status of the COVID-19 pandemic in fall 2021.
So now we're going to go ahead and start talking about the different prizes you can win in each stage of the competition. Being nominated for Broadcom Masters means you are in the top 10% of middle school fair participants nationwide. When you are nominated, you would have received a digital nominee packet that has a virtual background you can use for Zoom. If you didn't get that digital packet, you can email us at masters@societyforscience.org. The next step after being nominated is to open your application. And once you do, you get access to digital stickers. Erin and myself will also be emailing with helpful tips, tricks, and words of encouragement to nominees who have opened the application throughout the application process. So the sooner the start, the more you know.
Now let's talk about prizes you can get for submitting your application. The next phase is to submit your application. The application is due on June 9th, 2021 at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. If you submit on or before this date, your application will be judged and you will be considered for the top 300 masters and finalist levels of the competition. Submitting your application is a huge step. We know that application does require some work, and you're sharing your awesome research projects with us that you've worked so hard to accomplish. To award you for that, all entrants will receive a prize package containing a t-shirt, bumper sticker, and a special edition compilation of invention stories from Science News for Students, courtesy of the Lemelson Foundation. This year, we are also conducting bi-weekly lotteries for swag packages. We started on April 23rd, and every 2 weeks until the application deadline, we'll be choosing 5 winners from applicants that have hit the submit button in the last 2 weeks. So even though you have plenty of time to work on your application, if you're almost done, we encourage you to finish and submit early for a chance to win. Remember, you can always continue editing your application up until the deadline, even after you hit submit. When you complete your application, you also join our alumni family. As an alumnus of our program, you will receive invitations for special opportunities such as webinars, panels, and events. This allows you the opportunity to meet many science-minded people just like you.
Over the summer, the applications are evaluated and the top 300 masters will be named on September 1st. For the second year, each student that's named one of the top 300 masters will receive a $125 cash prize, courtesy of the Department of Defense, through the Society's membership of the Defense Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics Education Consortium. Top 300 masters also receive a certificate, a ribbon, an invention journal courtesy of the Lemelson Foundation, and more. Teachers of the top 300 masters also receive prizes. They will receive the book of invention stories and a cool Broadcom Masters tote bag. It's a great way to give back to the middle school teacher who has helped you throughout the year.
Now, out of the top 300 masters, 30 finalists are selected and will be announced on September 14th. Finalists each receive $500, and your school will receive $1,000 to go towards STEM programming, which is really awesome. Finalists also receive lots of cool swag like shirts, jackets, backpacks, and so much more. You will also make best friends for life. This is a great time to also mention that the entirety of the Broadcom Masters program is absolutely free to students. There's no cost to submit an application, and if you're selected as a finalist, there is absolutely no cost for a finalist and their parent to come to Washington, D.C. for finals week. All travel, accommodation, and food, etc., will be completely covered if you are meeting in person this year.
So here is a list of some of the big prizes that are available to the top 30 finalists through finals week. Each finalist may only receive one award. So for example, you cannot win first place in both science and mathematics. To go through these awards, we first have the Rising Star Award, which is a trip to attend Regeneron ISAF and represent the United States at the Broadcom Masters International Program, which happens every May. This will be given to 2 students at Broadcom Masters. We also have the first place STEM awards awarded in 4 categories of science, technology, engineering, and math. And they receive $3,500 in the form of a stipend to attend summer camps of your choosing, and you also get an iPad. We have second place STEM awards in those 4 categories that receive a $2,500 stipend for a summer camp, as well as an iPad. And then our top 5 awards, the $10,000 Lemelson Award for Invention, sponsored by the Lemelson Foundation. We have the $10,000 Marconi Samueli Award for Innovation, the $10,000 Robert Wood Johnson Foundation Award for Health Advancement, the $10,000 DoD STEM Talent Award, and of course, the top prize, which is the $25,000 Samueli Foundation Prize in honor of overall STEM excellence. Students may receive awards in categories that their project might not be in, since judging also depends on the performance during challenges. So there's no need to feel like you couldn't win an award just because your project didn't focus on, for example, engineering. For more information on these top awards, you can visit the eligibility and information page on our website, or read more specific descriptions in our 2020 Broadcom Masters Finalist book, which is also available on our webpage. So now that we've talked about everything you can win, you may be curious about finals week, and particularly how judging will work. There are 2 main components to judging during finals week. First, students will present their research project to judges in a closed session. This may feel different from your local science fair judging experience, since the judges will have already read your applications, and they might ask you more specific questions. Though it might seem intimidating, it can actually feel like a conversation and be a lot of fun. You'll also have the chance to showcase your research to the general public and practice your science communication skills. The public project showcase is not judged. After project judging, Finalists compete in teams on various STEM challenges that you work together creatively to problem solve. These hands-on activities can be very challenging, but also fun. Here you'll see some of the pictures of past challenges where students went to the Smithsonian Environmental Research Center in Edgewater, Maryland, and we even got team challenges to work virtually last year. In these challenges, our judges are looking for leadership skills, the ability to be an effective team member, how well-rounded you are in your STEM knowledge, and creative thinking. After the judges have made their observations, they select finalists for each award that we went through on the last slide.
In addition to judging during finals week, there are lots of other cool experiences. You'll have the chance to connect with older alumni and learn about different academic paths and careers. Even if we meet virtually, you'll still participate in fun evening activities with your fellow finalists. Last year, we did a virtual paint night and escape room that you can see here. And as we said earlier, you'll meet 29 like-minded peers who are all very passionate about STEM. We hear from a lot of finalists who still stay in contact and remain friends. Ultimately, we want everyone who enters the Broadcom Masters to feel proud, confident, and encouraged to submit their application. Even if you do not win, completing the application is an incredible learning opportunity and helps you practice communicating your ideas for the future. No matter what happens, know that Broadcom Masters at all stages make us very proud through their eagerness to impact their community and the world through STEM. So now we're going to go ahead and take some questions. So feel free to pose your questions in the chat box on the right, and we will answer them as they come in.
All right, so I do see that one question has come in so far. And the question was, can we share the project prototype in video on the application? So in the application, you won't be able to share videos of your prototypes, but you do have the visual aid. And this is a great place for you to share any visuals related to your application. So a picture of your prototype, a short description of how it might work. The visual aid is really there for you to show what you've built, any data you've collected, and that sort of thing. It should mainly focus on pictures, but you can have small captions and titles for images as well. So we got a question that asks how many people are in this round. Every year, the number of applicants for Broadcom Masters varies. The top 10% are nominated to apply. And so once the application closes on June 9th, we'll know what that final number is. In the past few years, it's been around, we've received around 2,000 to 2,500 entrants each year.
Next, we're going to take a question that says, for the visual aid, is there a limit for adding number of charts and data tables, and can I use color and bullet points for bar charts and titles? So the limit that we are saying is 3 visuals per page, and we're allowing 2 pages. So max out at 3 visuals. We want to make sure that the judges are able to read what you have submitted. They will actually have a printed out piece of paper, so it can be no bigger than an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. So you want to make sure that you can read it, that the judges can read it. Also about using color and bullet points. Yes, you can absolutely use any sort of colors, bullet points, whatever you would like. The judges and evaluators will see everything in color. So feel free to use those to distinguish things in your visuals.
We have another question here about the finalists and if they are chosen based on the categories. And the answer is no. Categories, we don't have any quotas to fill per category at any stage of the Broadcom Masters competition. It's really based on the merit of the projects that are submitted. So no, it is not, there can be 10 engineering category projects at the final stage, there can be 1. that is not factored into it.
There's a question that says, can we send a PowerPoint that contains the science project in the submission? No, what you can do is that is what the visual aid is for. You can take the most important graphics that you have created and put them onto two 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper, save them on 2 pages and upload those. If you try to upload a PowerPoint, it will not be accepted because we only accept PDFs. And again, there is information all about the visual aid on our YouTube page. So if you check out our other videos here, we'll walk you through exactly what to include or not to include in the visual aid.
And just to follow up on that, I would also definitely recommend reading through the official rules that are also posted in the application. This tells you exactly what you can and can't do for the visual aid. Again, the main thing that we want to make sure, whether or not it's multiple images kind of grouped together as one visual, everything needs to be legible when it's 100% view zoomed in, so not zooming in any more than 100%, so that the judges and evaluators can see everything in your visual aid clearly. So we have a question here that is, can you apply next year if you applied this year? Definitely. So all 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students that have earned a nomination are eligible to apply again if you do not make it to further stages of the Broadcom Masters competition. Even if you make it as far as the finalist level, but you do not win any awards, you are eligible to apply again in the future if you are a middle school student the next year. If you win a top award, so any of those top 5 awards at Broadcom Masters at the finalist level, or any of the STEM awards, 1st and 2nd place STEM awards, then unfortunately you are not eligible to recompete.
There's a question about if you move from one school to another, can you still participate? Absolutely. So obviously the deadline for the application is during the summer. So some of you may have finished school and you'll be heading to a new school in the fall. That is totally fine. Just make sure that when you're applying and you are entering your school information, enter the information for the school that you attended when you completed your project. So when you competed at your science fair, enter the school that you were attending at that time.
So there's another question here about, do the answers to essay questions matter in the project scoring? Yes, the essay questions that you are asked to respond to in part 3 of the application are taken into consideration by the evaluators and judges. And really for the essay questions, what the judges and evaluators want to see is your creative thinking, how you answer these questions in terms of just your ideas and how your personal values, how they come through in each of those essay questions. So the first one is about it's about you, and again, just asks you to describe a little bit about your personal values based on the questions being asked. And the second one is two questions you'll have to choose from about solving a problem. And there, the judges are looking at your critical thinking skills as to how you would approach this problem without doing a whole lot of research.
I see a few questions here now asking about making changes to your project. So one question is, can you make changes or improvements on the original state or local science fair project? And can you add new data if you continue to do experiments? So the answer to that question is, if you are performing more trials of the same thing, you can include those results in your project. However, you cannot make changes to your project that alters the intent of your project. So you can't start investigating something new. You can't start adding new variables in. So as long as you are performing more trials of the same thing, you can absolutely include those. Otherwise, you do need to stick to the original project that you were nominated for at your science fair.
We have a question here about science fair paperwork, and if there's no animals or humans involved, is there any need to submit any approved documents from the affiliated fair? So kind of two parts to this question. I would say if you had to submit any paperwork at your local fair to compete, you should also submit that paperwork in that task for the Broadcom Masters application. Generally speaking, if you do not have animals or humans involved, you may have worked with, for example, hazardous biological agents or something else that might require paperwork. So you should just double check with A, what you've done at your local fair, and B, read through our rules. And if you have any specific questions regarding what you did in your project, you can always email us at masters@societyforscience.org, and we'll be happy to help you out.
Another question is, what will we do when we get to high school and we still want to compete? Is there like a high school version? Absolutely there is. Regeneron International Science and Engineering Fair is for high school students at all grade levels all across the world. And we run that competition, so you can find that on our website as well. So go ahead and check that out. Again, that's 9th, 10th, and 11th grade students. And then we also run the Regeneron Science Talent Search, which is a competition just for high school seniors in America. And you can check that out on our website as well.
A few more questions here about the visual aid, and one of them just about whether or not you can use PowerPoint to create your visual aid. Yes, as long as you're converting it into a PDF to upload it into our application, because it will only accept PDFs, that is fine.
Question, can we see edits? Can you see the edits we make after we submit and continue to edit? Nope, we will only see your finalized version. So we will not see your original version with the edits that you've made. We will only see the finalized version. Just make sure that you hit save when you're done working on a section, and you can preview what your final submission looks like. Again, we actually have a video where we walk through how to submit your application, and we talk about how to download your latest version. So make sure that you check out that video. Again, that's on our channel here. So check that out, and that'll show you how you can download your application to make sure that you're seeing what we're going to be seeing.
All right, we'll take one or two more questions. Still seeing a lot of questions about the visual aid and what counts as multiple visuals. Again, the main thing that you want to keep in mind is that anyone who reads your visual aid should be able to see it without zooming in. So if you can include up to 2 visuals on each slide, or I'm sorry, I think it's 3 visuals on each slide, on each page, then, and it's legible, you don't really have anything to worry about.
There's a question here about, do you have to fill in everything in part 4, which is the personal interests? So every question that is required has an asterisk next to it, so a little star next to it. So you have to answer everything that has a star next to it. If it doesn't have a star, it is not required. So that is the answer to that. And you will not be able to submit your application unless you answer all of the required questions. So that's another way to know if you have finished everything that you need to.
The top 300 finalists are announced on September 1st, and I'm sorry, the top 300 masters are announced on September 1st, and the top 30 finalists are going to be announced on September 14th. You can find this information also on our website, and I'll actually move to this last page on our slideshow here. These, you can screenshot this. These are links to some important pages on our webpage, and also our email account, masters@societyforscience.org. If you have any questions here that didn't get answered here today, you can definitely email us and we will get back to you as soon as possible.
Or if you have any questions that are specific to your project that you would like us to answer, you can email us there as well.
All right, so that about concludes this today's webinar. Thank you all so much again for joining. Again, please email us at masters@societyforscience.org if we didn't get to your questions today or you have specific questions about your project. And definitely check out these resources, as well as when you're in the application itself, there are several resources available to you there that you can check out. And you can always revisit our YouTube page for a recording of this webinar and past webinars. And lastly, I'll just mention that you can also check out our YouTube page for our highlights videos for the past couple of years. Actually, all of the past highlights videos that we have, and that'll give you a better idea of what to expect during finals week as well. So take care, everyone. Good luck as you continue working on your applications.
Have a good night. Bye.
Bye.
All right, it is done.